Hey guys, how's it going? Just before we get started in this video, sorry it's been a bit long since I've uploaded and all that sort of stuff. I've just firstly I started a new job, so I was focusing on that quite heavily, and now I've gotten COVID, so yeah, I've just been at home resting. Yeah, so I haven't had a chance to get out to the fields to record any sort of like goal kicking, field goals sort of videos, stuff like that. So I'm hoping to maybe just get a couple of these sort of like face-to-face sort of videos recorded, just like to spread out throughout the weeks, until I can get back out to the fields. But yeah, hopefully that'll be soon. But yeah, so with that said, welcome to my Storm 2021 season review. All right, we've got one more after this, so let's just jump straight into it. Like the last ones, the stats are there, I'm pretty sure. The expected stats for the team that, comes first, right? Like, they were unstoppable this year. I think they have the record now for most wins at home in a row or something like that, or most games in a row without losing or something like, something ridiculous like that. I don't know exactly what it is off the top of my head. I can't remember, but yeah, just insane team. Yeah, honestly, statistically, there's not much to say. The only thing statistically that I could really think of to say is that from offloads, even though they didn't have the most offloads in the comp, what they did have was the most meters, like the most meters gained off of the back of offloads compared to everyone else. So, just their second phase play and the way they could just steamroll through is just, it's unbeatable. It's next level, it's, it's genuinely unstoppable. But yeah, honestly, not much to say about the stats. They're just, the expected stats for a team that you would expect to be coming first. Sorry about the little cut there. The camera fell. All right. So getting to the individuals. First individual, Craig Bellamy. Again, what else is what is there to say about him? In my opinion, he's the best coach of all time. Now, that's just my personal opinion. Obviously, Bennett's up there. I think Trent Robinson's starting to get up there now. If he can keep going for the next 5 years or so at the level he's at, then he'll be in that conversation. But yeah, for me, Craig Bellamy, best coach ever. Like, the way he can just take a player, doesn't matter what player it is, and just turn them into a superstar is unbelievable. Like, it's incredible. And yeah, for me, best coach. Like, don't get me wrong, obviously he's had a lot of luck in some of the plays he's had. Like, he had the big three for a while, Cronk, Smith, Slater. Obviously had GI there for a while, right? But, if those players are at any other club, do they have the career that they had? Like, I know people love to talk up how good they were and all that sort of stuff, but I think a lot of that also goes into the coaching they got. Right? And yeah, for me, Bellamy, best in the NRL at the moment. And in my opinion, all time. Obviously, I can't speak for like the much older coaches, like from the 70s, 80s, even the 60s, stuff like that. So I can't speak on them. I know there were some good coaches back then. I've been told about them by like older family members and stuff like that. But I can't speak on them because I never saw them or never watched their teams play. But yeah, for me, Bellamy, best coach in the NRL at the moment. What he's done at the Storm, he's built a legacy. He's built a dynasty at the Storm. So even when he leaves, the club will still just be dominant for however long. Yeah, just insane coach. Oh, excuse me, sorry. First player I want to talk about is Christian Welch. Only briefly, Christian Welch. All right, I'll talk about him very briefly. It's weird. I think in the grand scheme of things, I think he's pretty underrated. Like, obviously, he plays Origin and he's a fantastic player, but I don't know. Like, I feel like most people don't talk about him in the sense of like just being one of the best props in the comp, which in my opinion he is. Like, he's a phenomenal player. Like, he gets offloads, he gets meters, he can break tackles. Like, he does everything you'd want a front row to do and then some. But for some reason, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves in, like, the hierarchy of best front rowers in the comp. But yeah, I just sort of wanted to briefly mention because, yeah, I think he's a fantastic player. When they lost him, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, they lost him for a bit because of injury. Like, you could see it actually made a difference for their side. Like, obviously, they still performed well, but it definitely made a difference. Their go-forward had to completely change because he wasn't there. But yeah, fantastic player. Next, again, briefly, sort of just talk about him is Nico Hines. Breakout year for him, obviously because Paps got injured. Nico Hines spent a lot of time at fullback this year, and he was phenomenal. Obviously, at the time of recording this, the Indigenous game was yesterday, and he was phenomenal in that as well. Right, he was playing in the halves in that. He was playing number 6 if I remember correctly, and yeah, he was phenomenal in that as well. So yeah, he will have a stellar career, and the fact that he was able to start sort of really developing his craft at Melbourne is just gonna take him on to be an incredible player, because just the disciplinary aspects of the sport that he would have learnt while at the Storm would have just been second to none. Like just the way he takes care of himself, the way he approaches games and all that sort of stuff, what he would have learnt at the Storm will just like carry him through his whole career. Yeah, Nico Hines, incredible player, incredible year. Very excited to see what he'll do at the Sharks this season, playing in the halves, because I'm pretty sure he'll be playing in the halves, yeah, because Will Kennedy will be a fullback. So yeah, Hines I'm pretty sure is going to be 7. Yeah, so yeah, interested to see how well he does. The next player I want to talk about, and this might be a bit of a controversial take, is Cameron Munster. I think last season, the 2021 season, was one of the worst seasons of his career, at least that I can remember. I thought he was dreadful across the board. Like, don't get me wrong, obviously he had his moments because he's an incredible player, and incredible players have their moments at all times, But yeah, just overall, for what we know he can do, he wasn't great. Like, even in Origin, I feel like he struggled at Origin. Like, I feel like that was one of the reasons New South Wales was able to, just like steamroll them, is because, Munster he just seemed out of it. Like, I read a lot of things that apparently he was, taking things and doing this and doing that and doing all these off-field things which could have, fucked him mentally, stuff like that, And if that's true, then that's a shame, because, he is a phenomenal player when he's, when he's all there and ready to go. But yeah, this season I think he was very poor compared to what we know of him. And I think next season he will have an absolute resurgence, especially now that there's rumours that he's going to be going to the Dolphins, on big money. I don't know if he's signed yet. I don't think he's signed yet. But, there's rumours that he's going to go to the Dolphins on big money. So, yeah, I'm expecting a really big season out of Munster this year. I'm expecting him to really just sort of, take that step up again and just show everyone why he is one of the best players in the game, because he, genuinely he is. All right, next player, Dale Finucane. I think he's going to be one of the biggest losses for the Storm. Just his leadership on the field, off the field, the way he prepares himself, the way he, what's the word for it? The way he conducts himself is second to none. Right, like, he is just a leader through and through, and he just, just, like, what he does on the field, it doesn't look like he does much, but, if you were on the field with him, then you'd know how much he actually does do. Alright? And yeah, I think he's one of those players that it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how good the coaching is, it doesn't matter how good the players around the new player, you can't replace him. Like, Finucane is just one of those players that genuinely you just can't replace. So yeah, I think he's going to be a big loss for them this year. If I remember correctly, he's going to the Sharks as well, so it's a great pickup for them. They've really needed that, that forwards leader, that middle of the park leader to sort of help them out. Yeah, fantastic pickup for the Sharks, and big loss for the Storm. I still think they'll do fine without him, because they are a phenomenal team. They're a phenomenally run team, and like I said before. But yeah, incredible player, someone that, in my opinion, you can't really replace. You have to try and find an alternative sort of thing. Yeah, incredible player. All right, and then like with the Rabbitohs, there's genuinely just too many players I could talk about. I could talk about Harry Grant, I could talk about Brandon Smith, I could talk about, Big Nelson, I could talk about Paps, addo-carr. Obviously, addo-carr coming to the Bulldogs, I'm very excited about that. Alright, Remus Smith had a resurgence at the Storm this year. Way too many players I could talk about. Alright, but, otherwise this video will go for 40 minutes. And I don't think you guys would really want to sit there and listen to me talk about every single player for 40 minutes. But yeah, incredible team. Too many players to talk about. And then just the last player I do sort of want to mention is Jahrome Hughes, because I think he has really stepped up as a leader for this Melbourne Storm side. Like, he was a fullback, right? That got shifted into the halves when, because, Slater was still there, then, Paps came in, all this sort of stuff, so he sort of got shifted into the half somewhere he probably wasn't the most used to. I think he played in the halves a bit when he was a junior, but, he's pretty much, he was a fullback, But, again, the way that Jahrome Hughes has conducted himself, prepared himself, trained and all that sort, he's turned himself into one of the best halfbacks in the competition. Like, genuinely, I don't think that's debatable. I think it's just a fact he's one of the best halves in the competition. Like, his kicking game has improved tenfold from when he first started there. His running game is phenomenal because he was a fullback. Right? His passing game is phenomenal. His vision is excellent. Special mention for Jahrome Hughes. Incredible player. The fact that he got sort of shifted into the halves and he's made it work and turned himself into a world-class halfback is, it's phenomenal. It has to be said. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. And, so finally, just overall thoughts on the season. I predicted them to finish first. I guess expected finish. They didn't make the grand final like I thought they would, though. I thought it would be a Rabbitohs Melbourne grand final. So, they didn't make grand final, but, they did finish first like I expected. I think a lot of people probably would have expected similar. I think a lot of people would have said it would be between probably Penrith, Melbourne, and probably the Roosters before the Roosters had all their injuries at the start of the season. But, so predicted finish. Not really much else to say about it. They are one of the most well-run clubs in the NRL. Like, obviously, they've had their scandals with, like, the salary cap, back in, 2008, 2007, 2008, whatever it was, all that sort of stuff. But, aside from that, they are one of the most well-run clubs from top to bottom in the NRL. Like, every other NRL club, like, the Bulldogs, for example. I wish the Bulldogs had systems in place like the Storm do. Because we wouldn't have been in the situation we've been in for the past 5 years, Like, just the way they conduct themselves, the way they do things on the field, off the field, behind the scenes, the coaching, the higher-ups, the signing of players, the contract dealings, all, everything. It's just, I think it's second to none in the NRL. I think it's the best in the comp. Yeah, incredibly well-run club. It's mental how well they do it. Yeah. And then the last thing is, just how long do they continue competing at the top? I think as long as Bellamy is there, they remain a top 4 side. Once he leaves, I think they'll dip. I think they'll still be a top 8 side. They'll be in that 5th and 6th range, I think. Sort of like what Parramatta are at the moment. But yeah, once Bellamy leaves, I think they'll start falling down the ladder a bit. But yeah, until Bellamy leaves, like I said before, the clubs run too well for them not to, that was weird. Okay, sorry. But yeah, the clubs run too well not to, be competing for the top 4 pretty much year after year. But yeah, once Bellamy leaves, who knows? That might change. But yeah, even if that, obviously they're going to lose Brandon Smith next year. They might even lose Cameron Munster to the Dolphins, right? If Bellamy's still there, they can, they'll bring in someone else, train them up in the system that they have, and that next player will be a superstar anyway, so it doesn't really matter, right? But yeah, with that is my Melbourne Storm 2021 season review. Like I said at the start, sorry that all sorts of videos have been so far and few in between. I've literally, started a new job at the start of the year, so I've really been focusing on that. Trying to, make good first impressions, stuff like that. And then on top of that, I've also just been, I've gotten COVID now, so I'm a bit sick. You might have been able to hear it through my voice throughout the video, but yeah. With all these videos, let me know what you think I should add, remove, if you liked it, disliked it, Let me know your thoughts on Melbourne Storm and the season they had last year, how you think they'll go this year. And with that said, guys, have a good one. Yeah, take it easy. Have a good one.